these pages are so random, and I feel like it's probably giving you no context, but that's also kind of the point. If you are watching this, you've probably had that experience as well of just being like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to write, I don't know where to take this. Alright guys, so before I actually start writing, I've just come into the area where my bookshelf is in the gallery wall because I don't remember if I explained in my last writing vlog what the index cards on the wall are for, and so I need to check them. And so sometimes I find myself coming to the wall. I'm not going to get too close because that's literally the entire plot of the novel on the wall. So that's the only little sneak peek of the index cards you're going to get, but basically it's the entire story but in bite-sized chunks so that I'm not overwhelmed. I don't have to like search through and reread chapters just trying to find a specific like plot element, if that makes any sense. So it's a snapshot. Each index card is a snapshot of each chapter. The colors don't really mean anything specifically, but yes, it's been since my last writing vlog, which I don't know even when that went live, but it's pretty much been since my last writing vlog that I wrote, so I don't actually remember where I left off. I know I'm on the 29th chapter, that's all I remember, but yeah, so I've just come to the cards to kind of see where I'm at. I also remember promising you guys, I think it was it my bookshelf like organizing vlog? I don't even remember. That I was going to go through one of these. I have these Imaginary World of books by Carrie Smith, who came up with the Wreck This journals. I have 2 of these, maybe even a third one. I think I may have a third one floating around somewhere blank that I got at a used bookstore, but these are amazing. I'm going to cover the title, but essentially I've been filling out one of these for every novel that I've written since my first one, or I think I didn't do my first one, but I've got 2 more filled out for more novels, if that makes any sense at all. So without giving too much away, I figure I might be able to go through here and show you guys the things that I've put in here that kind of serve as inspiration. I feel like that's probably one of the best ones to show for like to get the vibe. This is the vibe. Alright, so I just filmed an entire clip where I took you through this book, and it was all out of focus and blurry, and so I feel like maybe that's a sign from the universe I shouldn't be showing you this, because I feel like as a writer you always have this fear that if you tell somebody about what you're working on and you give them too many details, they're gonna like go off and write their own version and then get it published before you, and then it'll look like you're plagiarizing their work when really it was your idea. Not sure if that's actually what everybody else thinks, but maybe I'm just paranoid. I'm going to show you a few pages instead of taking you through the whole thing like I just did. So I'm going to briefly show you just some inspo pictures without giving too much away. So I even put a table of contents at the beginning, looks like this, and I still struggle to find where I put things. Oh, so this is the chapter outline cards, those index cards. Those will go back in here whenever I finish this draft. Okay, here's the page that shows some inspirational movies and things that I've watched, books that I've read that I really am taking some inspo from. The Goonies, Super 8, pretty much anything from the 80s that has to do with like kids having fun, getting into trouble, you know. So that's just like an inspiration page. Here's another one. This one's a little more random. This is like landscape type stuff. There's a tree here with like, they've formed a natural bridge like with the roots and branches of the tree, I think. And then this one's like photoshopped, like fantasy world. It almost looks like Avatar, like bioluminescent giant mushroom type things. That's definitely the vibe. I'll even do like their bedrooms with random pictures I found like on Pinterest and stuff, so I have an idea of like what their rooms look like, the characters' rooms. I've got a mock cover. Let me see if I can cover up the title. This is like a very rough first draft sketch of like how I envision the cover. Again, more like bioluminescent things. These pages are so random, and I feel like it's probably giving you no context, but that's also kind of the point. I think that's enough for now. I don't know what else I would show you without giving too much away. So it is set in the 80s. Oh, here's some mock covers, but that's kind of the vibe. Very like Stranger Things-esque. I don't remember when I started this though. I'm sure it was after Stranger Things came out, but it's been a while. I'm getting there. Should probably get back to writing now. No. So I moved inside to charge my phone just for a minute, and I'm gonna show you guys what I would do for just a note that I wanna make potentially for the second draft. A lot of times I have a document on my computer already that literally is titled like second draft notes or something like that. But I've got a few of these sticky notes in here already for things like words that I might want to use or dialogue that I might want to add. So I'm just going to go ahead and add something that I thought of earlier that I wrote down, but I can't really go back right now. I don't want to like go back and find the place where it was, so just gonna find it. I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update on just some thoughts that I've been having these last couple minutes. Where do I even start? Basically, this is motivation for you if you are stuck. You've got writer's block, you don't know how to continue the scene, you don't know, like for example, I stopped following an outline quite a few chapters ago. I think I mentioned that in my first writing vlog. It just kind of, I think I said it went off the rails. I just meant like the natural progression of the story was no longer matching the outline that I had made, and that's perfectly fine. I feel like it's good to explore both. So I still have that outline in a document on my computer. I can totally write up that version of the story. But what I've currently done is kind of followed and gone down the rabbit hole of where my brain just wanted to take the story, and that's the current first official version of what the book will be. But I was thinking earlier about, and I'm kind of past it now, so I feel like I can talk about it, because earlier I was getting pretty frustrated. I was sitting over at the bar area, and I was just kind of staring at a blank screen. You know, I was just kind of staring at the cursor like blink back at me. And if you are watching this, you've probably had that experience as well of just being like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to write, like I don't know where to take this. You may even have like how I do, where you've got it like a rough idea of where you want to go, but you don't know what has to come between. Like you finished a scene and you know like where you need to go, but you don't know how to get there. Like you don't know how to bridge that gap. And that's kind of where I was sitting at a few minutes ago. So now that I'm past that, I feel like I can come on here and talk very like positively about it, because I was kind of in a negative mood a few minutes ago. So I basically just sat down and just started writing. I mean, there's no good advice to give when you're going through that, because it's like if you don't know what to write, how do you say, oh, just write something? But that is honestly what you have to do. So let me scroll up to where I was stuck. I feel like if you can picture it in your mind like a movie, that's how I picture all of my stories. I just see the character, like literally as if I was watching something on Netflix. That's how I see it. I see the scenes, I see, you know, the characters, what they're doing, all the dialogue, how they say it, and I try to add all of that in, add as much description as I can. Obviously, I can always go back later and edit things out or add more to it or whatever. So I basically just keep rereading where I left off, or the scene that I know I need to get to, and obviously I think through it practically, like what actually needs to happen. And so what will usually happen, what I just did earlier, was I wrote like a sentence, and it was just It wasn't like a cute, pretty sentence. It was just the bare minimum of like what needed to happen. Like, so-and-so does this because so-and-so says this or whatever. And then I'm like, okay, well, where are they at? How are they saying it? What information does this person have that they're going to tell this person? What does that do in their mind? How does that change the plot? Does it change the plot? So I don't know if any of this makes any sense at all. Hopefully if you guys are in the middle of a story and you're writing something, you can kind of relate to what I'm saying. So much of it is like abstract. It's really difficult, I feel like, to talk about. I don't understand how, like, I've watched several master classes. I had a friend gift me like a master class membership. It was good for like a year or something. And I watched like, who was it? Neil Gaiman, Joyce Carol Oates. There was a couple of like writing master classes that I watched from, very, very successful authors, and I took notes. Like, I still have the notes in a notebook, but at the end of the day, like, nothing is going to teach you how to write something. Like, somebody talking about writing isn't going to teach you anything. You just have to do it and write things that you don't like, and then go back and redo them and make them better. If you're stuck where I am now and you like can't finish something, like you're halfway through or you're almost done or you are still at the beginning and thinking about giving up, I would say to you that your fear of not finishing has to be greater than your fear of giving up. Does that make any sense? Like, your fear of not finishing it has to outweigh and be greater than all of your other fears about writing. And I think ultimately that's the thing that makes me the most sad. If I start thinking about me never finishing this manuscript or never getting published or whatever, not being able to share my stuff, that's the part that makes me spiral. I know looking back when I'm like 40, 50, whatever, if I still haven't written something and I haven't followed through and really tried my hardest, that's when I'm gonna be like, that would be my like rock bottom, like lowest low. That's kind of what keeps me going. So I hope you guys find something that is able to like motivate you enough to keep going. Also, in terms of like motivation or inspiration, what I found is you cannot wait until I'm in the mood. Like, I can't wait until I'm watching a movie or something that I really like and that kind of fits the vibe of what I'm writing. Like, I was watching the other night, I was over at my boyfriend's place, and the TV was playing the new Ghostbusters, and it's so much fun. I was watching like the car chase scene where they're chasing the ghost, and the car has like the gunner seat that pops out, and the kids are like, trying to kill this thing with whatever type of gun that is. It's like some sort of ray, I don't know what it's called, proton blaster or whatever. They're trying to use that to get the ghost, and it was so much fun. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the type of thing, like that kind of like momentum and action, and like the kids sort of being in way over their heads but still like having fun and being able to handle the situation, and that whole vibe is kind of what I'm wanting to do. And so you can't wait until you have moments like that to write, because then those moments of like really feeling like the urge to write, I feel like for me anyway, are pretty like rare. They're kind of few and far between. It's more so about discipline, like just sitting down and doing it. And I know that a lot of writers have said that before. I've read famous quotes from writers saying like, you just have to write every day, even when you don't feel like it. You've just got to get words on the page. That's how you're gonna finish. That ultimately is like that's the secret. That's the, like there is no big secret, I guess, but that's the only way you're ever gonna finish anything, is just sitting down and doing it. That's what I did with my first manuscript back in 2017 when I finished my, it was like my young adult sci-fi, like my dystopia novel that I wrote, the one that I shopped around to different literary agencies, but it never got picked up. That one I wrote in that summer, and it was miserably hot outside. It's really gross and muggy in the Midwest. But I would go outside every day just to like get fresh air and kind of let the sunshine charge me up a little bit. And I would literally sweat over this computer, which is kind of gross, and write that novel. And I was writing a chapter a day, which is insane when I think about that. Because that is so not what my output is right now. Granted, it was the summer and I was in between jobs. Like I was on summer break, and I was waiting to hear back from the bookstore, actually, which is where I ended up working for a couple of years. But yes, so if you have the mental capacity for that kind of output, that's awesome, and you're killing it, and keep going. If you are not that person, and I am not that person anymore, you just gotta find the time. You gotta make the time, actually. You don't find it. You're probably gonna have to sacrifice something. You're gonna have to sacrifice some social media time, some TV time, some reading time. I don't scroll endlessly. I don't subscribe to anybody on YouTube. I don't follow anybody on Instagram. I quit that earlier this year to kind of free up some of my time, because I found myself scrolling like endlessly, and it's not a good feeling when you like snap out of it. But yeah, you're probably gonna have to sacrifice something. I feel like I get very little reading done nowadays when I am writing instead, because I'm using time that I could be reading for writing. So like in September, I only read 3 books, which is so sad. I feel like in my mind, I would have read many more. You've got to use that time for whatever you're prioritizing. Whatever you're using your time on, that's what you're prioritizing. So I'm going to continue writing. I will try to keep these vlogs coming a little bit more regularly, because you guys seem to really like them. I feel like they're one of the most popular videos on my channel, and I hope that they give you inspiration. That is the whole point, is to just motivate you guys to actually sit down, dust off that manuscript, dust off your computer, open up that document, however you're doing it. I wish you guys the best of luck. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.